So the Eagles are flying to Anfield under the stewardship of Patrick Vieira, who did guide his Palace side to a 12th place finish in the Premier League last year. Palace's first result come against Liverpool back in the 16th of January in 1971. Palace did win that game 1-0. 2-0 loss to Arsenal that they did suffer on the opening week of the Premier League. It was the first goal come from a set piece, really, in reality. The second ball transition, a ball to the back post, and Zinchenko got on the end of it, and then Martinelli with a great header in terms of steering them into the lead at 1-0. And then Gahi conceded quite a shocking own goal in reality. Arsenal and Palace both did register 2 shots on target each. But with the loss of Conor Gallagher going back to Chelsea, it's up to the likes of Eze, Zaha, Edouard. Really made that quite transition into the Premier League as of yet. His first appearance for Crystal Palace, we all remember it, more or less scored him with his 2 first touches. And when you look and analyse Crystal Palace by the numbers, their away record stands off the back of last year's campaign: 4 wins, 7 draws and 8 losses. The minutes played, the most amount of minutes come from Mark Gahey. The most assists come from Elise, who registered 5, and in terms of the second most assists within that squad is Conor Gallagher and Anderson, the centre half. Big indication and a big factor for the goals last year was Wilfried Zaha within the Premier League. In terms of all goals scored, he did register 14 goals, and then the second most of goals for Crystal Palace come from Conor Gallagher. That will be a massive miss. And then followed in third place, as you can see, is Edouard. In terms of the set pieces last year, they did register 8 goals, but they did concede a staggering 16 goals. On average, last year, they did score 50 goals and then conceding 46. The average possession was 50.8 as well, and the penalties in which they did get awarded was 6. Massive factor and a big presence on the pitch last year was Conor Gallagher. It'll be interesting to see going into this year from a Crystal Palace point of view where those goals do come from. They're very heavily reliant. If Zaha doesn't get the goals, I think the Frenchman up front, Edouard, needs to step up, and hopefully that's not the case for Liverpool going into Monday's game. Crystal Palace's results in the Premier League as well, you'd have to go back until the 23rd of April 2017 when they last won at Anfield. In terms of recent campaigns, as you can see, it's been an absolute dominating performance by Liverpool in recent times. Obviously with a 3-1 result at Selhurst Park, and obviously in the reverse fixture at Anfield, Liverpool did run out 3-0 winners, and obviously a 2-0 result the previous year as well. Finally, we'll look at obviously the starting 11 which Crystal Palace did set up against Arsenal on the opening week. Later in goal, Nathaniel Klein, Anderson, Gahi, who, as we said, did get an own goal. Mitchell, probably one of the most exciting players in the Premier League, got a bright future. Crystal Palace's number 3. Doucouré and Jeffrey Slupp did play in those holding roles, and then you got Ayew as well, Eze in that creative force, the floating 10. Wilfried Zaha and Edouard. What you will get, and that stems from the great management from Patrick Vieira. He comes from a winning mentality in his career as well. He's not been a player that will shrug out of a challenge or tackle, but he leads from the front, and that's what he does on the opposition bench for Crystal Palace. He'll be bringing his side to Anfield with the expectations of coming away with all 3 points. Off the back of last year's great performances, especially against Manchester City, you can see they can sometimes frustrate some of the top sides, and Liverpool have got to be very wary. But it's, as we said, and we've had a look at the results for Liverpool in previous seasons, but Liverpool have got to take one game at a time, and judging off the back of the shocking result against Fulham, Crystal Palace will be circling for all 3 points.